is the Vintage RPG Podcast, your source for the best in classic and contemporary RPGs. With your hosts, Hambone and Stu.
Welcome to the Vintage RPG Podcast, coming at you again from the clubhouse in somewhere in the swamps of New Jersey. I'm John Hambone McGuire. With me, as always, is the founder and publisher of Unwinnable. This is a man who likes things quaint, but is not a fan of the scone, Stu Horvath.
They're a little dry.
They are
Even
so
with the
dry.
butter.
Yeah. I kind of feel like something that dry, even just adding things to it, you're just building off of a really poor foundation.
Yeah, I agree.
How you doing today, man?
Jenks, you owe me soda.
Gladly. Once I kick this cold, I will gladly bring you down a soda pop.
Pretty all right. It's I'm enjoying the unseasonably fall weather.
It was funny because I was on Instagram this morning before I came in to do this, before I left my house, and I saw our buddy was like, well, I guess it's sweater weather all of a sudden. I'm like, it cannot be that. And I walked out the door. Dear listener, it is a perfect fall day out in August.
It's crazy. I wore flannel for most of the day yesterday.
Magical.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today? Speaking of quaint.
We're going to talk about a game called recent game called Brindlewood Bay. I have in front of me the hardcover from the Gauntlet that came out via Kickstarter last year. I don't know. They didn't put a copyright date in there, which is always frustrating.
Kickstarter edition. I only know this because I'm on DriveThruRPG right now, pulling it up. It is 2022. It was added to the catalog, so it's 2 years old.
All right. And there was an earlier version that was like a zine version that I always wanted to grab, but never got around to actually picking up. So it's a Powered by the Apocalypse game in which you're going to love this, Hambone. You're playing the Murder Mavens. Players take the role of the Murder Mavens, which is a bunch of retired women who live near each other in Brindlewood Bay, a New England town, and they solve mysteries. Like all, I was going to say all good Powered by the Apocalypse games, but it's actually just, I think Powered by the Apocalypse games in general sort of excel at simulating very specific things usually associated with genre. And in this case, the core of the gameplay is really hearkening to 1 hour TV murder mysteries. So it's basically Murder, She Wrote plus the Golden Girls. But the twist is that there is a dark cult operating in Brindlewood Bay that all of the cases are somehow connected to, or rather, during the course of investigating all of their other cases, they find clues that seem to indicate a larger conspiracy is at foot, whether or not the actual murders are all connected.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Yeah, it's a really specific sell, but if this is what you're looking for, I think that you're gonna be excited about it.
I mean, right now I'm currently on season 8, cruising towards season 9 of Murder, She Wrote, watching it in chronological order. I watch like an episode a day. And I cannot express to you how many times during the series it's like, man, I'm shocked. They made a fucking Dallas RPG. How have they never made a Murder, She Wrote RPG? Because I'm like, it is perfect. And, for interpretation. And then I heard about Brindlewood Bay and I was like, well, I'm just going to give you money,
Yeah. And that's what you got here. It is basically, well, here, a character in Apocalypse World and Powered by the Apocalypse games is basically made, they usually have sub attributes, but they're really made of moves. And moves are sort of predefined reactions that you roll and determines the outcome when a specific thing happens. So for instance, your 4 basic moves in the game, you have a day move, which is literally you do something risky during the day. You have a night move, and you do something risky at night. And both of those things have different sort of scopes for failure because, at night with the cult around, it's a little bit more dangerous, spooky kind of thing. Then you have the meddling move, which is how you get your clues. You basically, anytime you're talking to somebody or investigating or something, you could roll meddling and see if that gets you a clue. If you have something wrong with you or you have a status effect, you can have a cozy moment and retreat to your cozy place to repair that problem. You have to sort of justify it narratively. If you have like a headache, you can get some Advil, but you need to go to a place that actually has Advil. You might be poisoned, and you can't go to your house and just like cozy poison away.
I've been trying to do that all week with COVID, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't work, right? They have a move for whenever they deal with the occult, which has specific consequences and a structure to it. My favorite, though, is the Gold Crown Mysteries move. Basically, once per mystery, one of the players could say, "This reminds me of something that happened to Amanda Delacourt," who is the main character of this series of novels or TV shows or whatever mysteries that the Mavens love. And by doing so, they sort of get to define something about the case that the GM has to then incorporate, because like oh, this reminds me of the time that Amanda Delacourt was chasing the suspect who was dressed as a nun and was just like, "Oh wait, nuns don't work on Sundays," and then turns around and shoots him.
One of the best moments in Magnum PI ever. All right, and that's what I'm watching next. I'm gonna take it up from season 5 because I had recently watched up to season 5 before I switched to Murder She Wrote, and I'm too far into my Murder She Wrote program to go back to Magnum just yet until the crossover happens. It's a whole thing, but like, God, that's the kind of stuff that I love about this.
Yeah, so you could take that, you could take any kind of moment from your favorite TV shows and bring it in like that. Just you skin it as like, oh, Amanda Delacourt did that. And then the GM has to kind of incorporate that into the mystery. And then there's these moves called crowns, which I don't quite understand. I don't understand them in the context of the sort of TV show mystery concept framework. But I do kind of sort of get them. I understand them sort of from an occulty side. Each character has 2 crowns, Crown of the Queen, Crown of the Void. And basically, Crown of the Queen is calling on all of the Maven's history of womanhood. Basically, her life as a mom, a sister, wife, widow, and using that to basically say to the GM, no, that didn't happen. And Crown of the Void does the same thing, except through occult means, like obviously like supernatural events. You could use the Crown of the Void to sort of rewind that. I don't quite understand it. I don't like this kind of mechanic. It reminds me very much of 4th edition when you had the immediate interrupts.
Oh, don't trigger me, Stu. It's too early. I've only had a cup of coffee.
I don't like it when anything that rewinds play like that. Or like especially when the GM has put forth something that has happened as a consequence. For me personally, like for a game like this, that would be a lot of work. I'm not really good at that kind of improv and coming up if it's a mixed success, which I find is a very hard thing to kind of like nail correctly. And I come up with a mixed success and I lay it out there, and then you put on the crown and like negate my crown. Like just like, oh, I do kind of like, it just makes me like, it's not a happy play thing for me. However, I do kind of dig it in the justification of the rules, sort of likens it to putting your finger in to mark your place in a choose your own adventure. And then going cool. back, like, and in that respect, I like it, but there, like theoretically, I like it, but in execution, I haven't invested a lot of energy as the GM in sticking my finger in the back of the choose your own adventure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true story.
But it's cool and it's interesting. And then on top of that, players can get sort of advanced moves, which are all based on a TV detective.
Oh yeah, the advanced moves are great because I actually just to take a look at it, I printed out the character sheet, because if you go to gauntlet-rpg.com, there's some free things that you could download to take a look at before you buy it. And it really does lay it out for you, like the day move, night move, cozy move, the meddling move, all that stuff's right there. But then you have things that they call Maven moves, which no two Maven moves can have the same Maven move at the start. Additionally, no two Mavens can have Dale Cooper and Fox Mulder at the same time, though a single Maven can acquire both during the course of the game. It lays it out here with all TV detectives, starting with B.A. Baracus, Frank Columbo, Dale Cooper, jumping to Angus MacGyver, Thomas Magnum, Jim Rockford, Gordon Shumway, and Remington Steele, right? But then there's a page of alternate Maven moves where you have like Father Brown, Nancy Drew, which I thought probably would have been on the first page, but I digress. Hercule Poirot, Sherlock Holmes is on page 2. Like Phoenix Wright, like such an elegantly simple way to, because let's face it, you're a mystery fan is going to buy this book. You're buying this book because you're a mystery fan. This I think would be maybe a harder sell to a sword and sorcery person exclusively, but it's elegant in its simplicity insofar as with these Maven moves, it really does kind of really help you understand like the style of detective that you're playing and kind of the framework in which your detective will be able to work with these Maven moves.
Well, it's like the big secret of RPGs has always been the more you lean on media that your players like for inspiration, not just inspiration, the more you rip off media that your players like and put it in their games as like fans, it's not fan service, but it functions similarly. It allows players to just like it gives them like the framework of understanding of what's going on and allows them to kind of play with it more effectively. That's always been sort of like a secret, always like in the GM tips, like, make sure that like you pull stuff from your favorite movies or favorite books. Like literally Dave Arneson was trying to reenact scenes from his favorite books when he was developing his part of the Dungeons and Dragons development. And the way that Brindlewood Bay is structured takes that ethos and puts it right out in the open and says, like, we are literally using these beloved TV characters as action figures in our theater of the mind. Like you should act like this and it will work.
And I think that's beautiful, man, because it's that commonality that we all share through media that I really think is so helpful when everyone is drowning trying to figure out the rules.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a quick and easy way and really a down and dirty way to like right the ship as fast as you possibly can by being like, they're trying to figure out how to make this dice roll work or how this rule works. Like, okay, yeah, I mean, your character is kind of like Hellboy, right? Or your character's like Indiana Jones. What would Indiana Jones do? Blah, 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 this and that. Okay, roll that dice. Boom, Bob's your uncle. Like, I think that there's a really, it takes a really special RPG to kind of be able to bake that into the cake, like right up front. And they take it like such a beautiful step further, I think, because you have the end of the session, right? Can I jump ahead to that? Would you mind? Because
go for it. Go for it.
Like when you're talking about the end of the session, right? You got to mark things off in this, and first is always marked at the beginning of the session, mark 2 more, 3 total marks. First one is marked as did the murder maven solve a mystery? Hopefully you did. But then you're like, did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official? Did you share your wisdom with a young person? Did you share a memory of your late family member? And this is my favorite one. Did you behave like a woman half your age? Like, did you dote on someone? Did you show someone you still got it? And I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. This RPG is so dialed in to the kind of mystery TV programs that I love so much. I've loved since my childhood, but like, holy shit.
I knew you'd like this game. It really is that dialed in is the perfect metaphor. And the really cool thing is that, like, I think that, as I said at the beginning, Powered by the Apocalypse games really excel at simulating a genre and then playing with it. But as soon as you sort of digress from what the moves are meant to be doing and the experience that the game is structured to provide, Powered by the Apocalypse games kind of fall apart, I think. So throwing all of this stuff in here is really in the service of the game, because it really gives you as many guardrails as possible as players to just kind of keep on trucking.
Yeah.
Now, that's important because as we get into the next part, which is apparently a little bit controversial. There's no canonical ending to any mystery you play with Brindlewood Bay. By which I mean the players determine what the solution of the mystery. There's no true ending to be discovered.
Oh God, that's perfect.
I agree. I think that speaks to a certain energy that's in a lot of these hour mystery TV shows, where the ending kind of crashes in all of a sudden at the end, and it doesn't always make a whole lot of sense, but it satisfies you. And everybody sort of generally seems surprised, right? Except, the detective, but the players aren't the detective.
But I think this is a better way to simulate detection in mystery solving in an RPG, because, one of the things that people in RPGs, the reason they play RPGs is because you can kind of go your own way, right?
Right.
And, when it comes to like an adventure as a dungeon master, as a game master, as a keeper of secrets, you are not so much beholden to how to get to the finish as you kind of are the finish. Like, you kind of know what the finish that you have intended for the players are, right?
Yeah.
And more often than not, they're not going to take that A, B, C, D, E, F, G line to get there. They're going to kind of go off on their own tangents, and they'll end up there eventually. Like, if you want them to fight like a lich at the end of the adventure, it may take them 3, but they'll get there, and they're going to get there in their own way. So the problem with a mystery that is written as is with an ending that is specific is, in fantasy, well, shit, they went left instead of going right. I can just throw another monster here. I could put a trap here. I could put a different clue that leads to something else. But like in a mystery, it's like, well, there are only so many different paths that they can take before they go completely off the map and off the campus, and are like so far away from the ending that is written that the only way to get it back there is to railroad them and ham fist that ending down their throat. And that's not satisfying. Like, they're never going to get that aha moment of discovery that they would, which is like the point of the mystery. It's that aha, when you're sitting there watching a mystery with your partner or special somebody, and they know you're good at solving mysteries, and they see that look on your face that says you figured it out already at like 20 minutes in, and they're like, oh, fuck, he knows. And you're like, I do know. But like, that's going to be hard to get if you have it like so kind of hard line written in there. But like something like this, it's like, well, shit. The satisfying ending comes from, it just kind of flies in there. You as the detectives know what it is. Now you get to enjoy how you've had it unfold before your eyes.
Yeah. So you use the meddle move to generate clues. Every scenario mystery is sort of a setup, a list of clues, a list of people, suspects, not even suspects, just people who are involved in the story, and then a list of moments that could happen during the story, just like scenes basically
Right.
that your characters could witness or participate in. And as you gather clues, once you've gotten a certain amount of clues, which I think is kept secret, it's dependent on the complexity of the crime. Once you get, so like if the one that I'm on right now is complexity 7, you got to get 7 clues, then you can roll, and then then you use those clues to theorize what the solution is, and then you roll to see if it's true or not. And like you said, yes, you're playing these characters, but the game is actually kind of, in a way, simulating the act of watching a TV show, in that it keeps you will be as surprised by the ending as if you were watching the show, as most of the characters in the game will be. I think that's extremely clever and interesting. But the downside is, and the complaint that I've heard most in chatting with other people about this game, is that the quantum ending often feels like you are framing someone to take the fall for the crime. which I think is just sort of philosophically like I think that if you're playing the game by the strictures of the framework that it's giving you, this TV show genre based thing, I think that shouldn't come up. I think that you're going to start thinking that you're framing people if you're playing a different sort of game, which is fine. But I think that you have to mind the way you play to get the appropriate reaction out of the system, if that makes sense.
That's fair, but also at the same time, like it kind of harkens back to the idea that like if you reframe Murder She Wrote,
Yes.
then Jessica Fletcher's the killer.
Yeah.
The entire time. And that's kind of fun too. You know?
Well, and
she would never.
No.
You know, just saying.
But and that's sort of where the dark cult stuff comes in. So I mean, this is the one thing that I find it's basically like a reskinned Cthulhu mythos. It's filtered through sort of like an ancient Greek flavor. So they're the midwives of the fragrant void, and they're trying to raise the children of Persephone, and they're all monsters that are like Cthulhu monsters. And there's a cult in town. When I first encountered this game as it's in its initial zine iteration, I thought to myself, my God, this is just such a beautiful combination of two things that I didn't know I wanted to go together: Cthulhu monsters and the Golden Girls, or Murder, She Wrote, or some combination of the both. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like, this is why I love role-playing games, because you could mix and match all these things and have all these incredible experiences and put them together in surprising ways. And it's just like, it just seems like it was another symptom of this golden age of like, we're always going to have these amazing games because people are always going to put weird things together and make cool stuff with it. That being said, Brindlewood Bay, when I finally got it in my hands, they gave me exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And because I'm an asshole, I'm sort of like, well, my big takeaway from the game is like, I really wish that it was just a TV mystery simulator. I could do it. Like, I think that the Cthulhu stuff is interesting, but I also think, and like, I think that their approach to it and the way they reskinned it is interesting, and the way it meshes with the Golden Girls vibe is cool. But I also just wish it would, like, it does the TV thing so well that I do kind of wish that they had just limited it to the TV thing. But like I said, that's me.
I mean, on my end of it, I've already lit up the group chat and hit up all my girlfriends, and we're going to get together in the fall. There's going to be a fucking charcuterie spread to end all trays, and we're going to play some Brindlewood Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, putting out a spread.
Again, this is me just being completely like a pain in the ass about this. The game itself is exactly what it promised to be, and I think that it does it extremely well. And if any of these things sort of tickle your fancy, I think that if you pick up the book, you're going to be surprised at how much better it is in actuality, the presentation of the game, than what we've described here. Like, it really is a really well thought out and put together game.
And also, like, it looks like, on your, just looking at the spine of it, it looks like it could just be a mystery like novel.
Oh God!
And would just fit right in there on your bookshelf.
The art's by Cecilia Ferry, and just the perfect amount of cozy. Even the spooky stuff is like a level of spooky that's commensurate with like Murder, She Wrote. Like, if there was a Halloween episode of Murder, She Wrote that involved cultists, it would look like this. Like, I have
1,000%.
Like, I wish we had that thing in our reality. But this is a pretty good consolation prize, and I think that it's I mean, they all Ferry's old ladies are just great. They all have these big spectacles, and they all seem happy and cozy. It's great.
Never underestimate the power of cozy. I mean, that sounds like a final thought to me. How about you, Stu?
Yeah, never underestimate the power of cozy.
Well, thank you for being a friend, dear listener. This has been another amazing episode of the Vintage RPG Podcast. Stu, where can people find you on the internet?
They could find me on vintagerpg.com, which is running faster than ever because I just optimized all the images on it. So
yeah, you did.
that took a couple days, but go on over, check it out. It's a database of over 2,500 posts, weighing in at something like 500,000 words, and I think there's like 12,000 pictures on the site. It's a lot. And it has good search functionality, so you could look around and learn everything that I know about role-playing games. It's right there.
And to think how lucky we were that we were able to get vintagerpg.com on a lark. That just goes to show you, folks, if you want a website, just keep searching, because you never know when what you need in its actuality and its exact execution is going to pop up and be there for you. You can find me across the internet, John McGuire RPG. I post a little more. I've been going out. I've been doing stuff. In fact, I went to go see the band Everclear, then I got COVID. So it's a whole risk reward thing about leaving the house. One thing I'm going to tell you right now, we will have a new Kickstarter coming up in late September. I'm just getting some ducks in a row, so look out for that. It's going to be for Monster Book. We're actually doing a 3-to-1 action monster book. It's going to be our own version of the Monster Manual in the David Attenborough style, so it's going to be actually pretty cool, and we're pretty excited to launch that. But if you're looking for something cool to play for spooky season, I know we have the pre-order up going right now at braineatersrpg.com. That's going to be going on a little longer. We have it set to October for delivery of the book, but surprise, surprise, the book's done. It's off to the printer. We had to put it out that far on Etsy because they don't really offer pre-order features, so the book's going to be delivering a lot sooner than we thought. If you're in the U.S., it's $10 for the book and the PDF, Brain Eaters RPGs, and the new 5 Alive RPG system for me and Brian Shutter. It's going to be a real hoot for this Halloween season, so boogie on down to braineatersrpg.com and pre-order your copy today. If you like the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Your reviews really do help other listeners to find us. If you really like the show, want to become a patron, patreon.com/vintagerpg. Now, what's cool about our Patreon is that at the $5 tier, you could jump in on a game with me. I play a different game every month. This month, I'm doing Mothership. But now in September for the fall, I might actually do Brindlewood Bay. I actually just put it in my cart and ordered it right now. $10 tier, there's a West Marches campaign that's ongoing with Stu. It is deadly as shit. There's a previous episode you can listen to learn more about that. For as little as $1 a month, you get early release episodes at some point on Friday or Saturday, depending on when the edits come back to us. We've got a killer Discord community that we'd love for you to be a part of. Patreon.com/vintagerpg. So for Stu Horvath, I'm John Hambone McGuire. May the dice always roll in your favor.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Every review helps other listeners to find us. The Vintage RPG Podcast is a ham-fisted production. Music by Dega West. Art by Schaefer Brown. If you like the podcast, you should also consider becoming a patron at patreon.com.